Chatty Bobby. Welcome to Wrasslin with Big E and the P.O.T. Podcast tag champs of the whole world, slamming like a DDT. Got it like just like a figure four. Hulk Hogan, all they do is flex. Talking wrestling while they get the dough. Off the top like a superplex. Think they laying up? Hell no. Dusty Rose with the elbow. From the corner like a stinging splash straight to the face. I know you felt those. Hey, y'all crying out for help though. Rising up like the dead man. About to go upside your head like Stone Cold with the bedpan. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to Wrasslin where you need to be. Chatty Bobby, this show improved like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to Wrasslin where you need to be. Chatty Bobby, this show improved like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. Yeah.
Hey, welcome to Wrasslin. I'm the P.O.T. alongside my tag team partner Big E, aka them Wrestling Boys. We're here to bring you another episode of premium wrestling content. Big E, what's going on, bro?
What you know, brother?
Hey man, trying to bang out another one.
This one will be banging out is episode 19.
19.
And we just gonna clearly call it the GOAT.
The GOAT.
We not covering nothing today. We just finna get into a serious conversation.
Okay.
Let's do a little house cleaning first. We ain't done this in a while, man. Shout out to Chad Arms, Chatty Bobby, for doing the intro song for us, man. Our Titantron intro theme. You know, when we make it to the big time. Shout out to Squint 615 for the video. And shout out to them guys, man. Really stayed down with us, knocked it out. And 20 episodes in, or 19 episodes in, we appreciate it. And yeah, man. Shout out to all the new subscribers. We're at 96. We're 4 away from 100. Hopefully by the time we do episode 20, we'll have 100. So we rocking and rolling, dog. We got some things coming up, got some interviews coming up that we working on. And be on the lookout. Mary of the Football Legends is coming soon. The first episode is coming soon. And the first episode is going to be a great one. But GOAT, greatest of all time. Is John Cena the greatest of all time? So let's jump into it. Hey, man, for the last 2 decades, you've been watching John Cena for a good, not the whole 2 decades. Let's not get crazy. He's been off and on for the last couple of years, show up here, show up there, kind of like doing the Rock thing that he did for a while, which he also hated on when he talked about the Rock, which is funny how he doing the same thing.
Came full circle.
Yeah. And let's just be super honest. You can't wrestle for the rest of your life.
Right.
It's not a job. It's not a job you can do to your it's not a job everybody can do to their 60, 65. Right. Unless you're some of these crazies like Sting, Ricky Morton. These guys can still go out there and get, which, Sting's not getting in the ring no more and just finished. But, I mean, the stuff he was doing even a year ago was ridiculous. Ricky Morton still steps inside the ring, can still entertain, tag teaming with his son. Him and Robert Gibson is known as the Rock and Roll Express. Still do all kind of stuff for AEW and different independent shows. And of course, Ricky Morton got his school of Morton in Tennessee. But, for some of these guys, there is a life after wrestling. And you got to understand that, and that's cool. You know what I mean? but 17-time world champion. And we'll get into it as far as how we feel about Flair's title runs, how the belt changed so many different times in the ruthless aggression era, the PG era, which the PG era is the Cena era. So I will give it to him on that one. Is he the GOAT? Is John Cena the greatest of all time? Now, right now, not one time have you heard, unless it was a 10-year-old, say John Cena's on their Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Have you ever heard anybody say that?
The only person I hear say call John Cena the greatest of all time is Michael Cole. I'm just saying.
Yeah. You got guys that have had great careers that were never world champions. So does the most world championships, does that make you the GOAT?
Well, you know what? I was thinking about this the other day when I knew we was gonna have this topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about I can't help but think about Nate. Now he probably had like maybe 21 or 22 title reigns, to be
That are
honest.
not recognized, yeah.
That are not recognized. Of course, 16 is recognized. But
Right.
and then I think of somebody like a Bruno Sammartino or a Roman Reigns, a Bob Backlund, a Hulk Hogan, that they probably well Hogan ended up having a lot of title reigns because of his WCW run. But
Mm,
I just think of like those guys back in the day where they have like Bruno Sammartino was champion like 8 years.
right.
I mean, he didn't have like multiple title reigns in
Right.
there. So does that make him a better champion if he would add 5 title reigns in the same span of having 2?
Right.
I don't think so. Um, but at the same time, then that could be a knock on Nate. But Nature's praised for having so many title reigns.
Right.
So I don't want to use that criteria either to elevate or to either elevate or to bring a person down. Uh, and like you said, in that era, that Cena, the PG, well, it started ruthless aggression, but of course the PG era was
Right.
Cena. But you got to think of the guys in that era. Like title would change your hands all over the place. You know, Edge was like 11-time champion. Randy
Randy Orton,
Orton, 14
14
time
times.
champion. Triple
Triple
H,
H, 15 times.
14 time champion.
Or
14.
14.
Right. But that being said though, uh there was a lot of those guys. And then you gotta think that era too, they also had 2 world titles. So it was like it wasn't like okay, we just one champion. You know, they had a world title and then they had the WWE title.
Right.
So you could be a champion on Raw and then you could be champion on SmackDown. That both those count as world title reigns.
Right.
So you got to take that into consideration too.
But in Vince's mind, the WWE championship was the championship and the world title was secondary.
Well, so you're gonna tell Triple H that half of his title reigns then don't count? Because I'm sure as hell they count.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my point.
Mhm.
Plus, and and of course, nature's nature. But I mean, I'm sure. I mean, Vince ain't not count the WCW title reigns
No, he
because
didn't.
how many times Nate's won WWE title? What, 2 times?
Twice, 2 times.
Yeah. So
And
I
was
mean, again, we're comparing apples to oranges. You know what I mean? We're they still being recognized. They're being recognized. But you made a great point though. It's still guys that were world champions that still wasn't WWE champions.
right.
You
Yeah.
know.
How
So
how many guys have had the WCW title and the WWE title?
mm,
And you got to take away the WCW title that was brought up in WWE.
Okay. So
what I'm saying is not too many people that made that jump got that push.
that's true.
Flair got that push. You know, he was
So Flair,
92.
Sid,
Kevin
Bret Hart,
Nash,
Kevin Nash, Bret Hart,
mhm, um, Goldberg.
over. Uh, not
I'm just,
not
I'm
me,
missing.
Macho Man, Macho
Yeah,
Man,
yeah. Macho
Hogan,
Man,
and Hogan.
Hogan. Yeah,
I mean,
but
there's
it's
not
not
many
that
more after
many.
that. Yeah, not
It's
many
not
more
that
after
many,
that.
but it's shoot, Chris Benoit.
But Chris
He,
Benoit never won a WWE
it was the
championship
world
though.
title. He
He
won the
world
world
title,
heavyweight championship.
right?
Yeah. You know, you take a look at Nate's, and he's from the era when there was a real live championship committee
Right,
and
right.
territories. And, you know, without their vote, there is no champion.
He
And
was the
that
last traveling world champion.
absolutely, you got guys like, and I know I won't even bring up that name because it's almost a asterisk next to that name. Um, when they voted, like it meant something. It meant something to be it means something to be the world champion regardless.
Right,
But in the territory days, you weren't carrying one banner. You were there to build up everybody's territory.
right,
You was there to make everybody's superstar in their territory look like they could almost be world champion. And the next time they probably could do it,
right.
and he was there to get them fans, get them tickets sold, you know. I have a hard time. First of all, I am gonna say this. This last title run with Cena, there's no way you can do it without the heel turn. He would have been getting the Dom treatment if he'd have won. If it would have been babyface versus babyface against Cody. If there's no Rock involved, well, there wasn't no Rock involved in WrestleMania, but at the beginning at Elimination Chamber, without this heel turn, none of this is possible.
Right,
I don't. Of course, anything is possible, but I think the fans would have hated it to the point where they would be losing their mind trying to take over the show with the chants and stuff. Now mind you that as far as a human being, John Cena didn't. You've never heard him getting in trouble. You've never heard of no. There's no videos of him out of line drinking somewhere, making a fool out of himself. He's definitely not walking around naked with a robe on through the hotel lobby.
nah, he just walk around naked at the Academy Awards. That's it. Yeah, yeah. Just do in front of all your peers and all your.
Right. That was crazy.
You're right
Every
though.
well, and what I'm saying as far as the Make-A-Wish stuff, what a great dude. What a
Right.
great guy. You know.
Always maintain the professionalism.
Right. Even with the thing about if you ever watch the stuff about him and Nikki Bella about having kids and stuff, the way he would talk about not bringing a child into this world because he would never be there. You
Right.
know, like just the guy doesn't make decisions without thinking. You know, he's a different dude, but he's a good dude.
I agree.
But that don't make him the GOAT.
I
So I
agree.
think now he has an argument, and 5 years from now, when we had this conversation, Me and you still probably won't say he's the GOAT, but I think he'll have more followers. Long, steady career, was on top for a long time. Um, has had the worst outfits. You know, some of the just, it's just a plain Jane dude with some jean shorts and a t-shirt. But he's made all that work. The kids loved it. You still got grown men wearing that stuff right now when they have the
Tell me
shows
about
wearing the
it.
wristbands and
Hey,
you
tell me
know
about it.
it,
Look,
it's
so tell me about it.
story time.
So,
What
well,
do you guys want to talk about?
I kind of compare this to, and I hate to make this comparison, but it's the best comparison I can. It's almost like LeBron James and Michael Jordan, right? You talk to like a Jalen, for example, Keith's son. Jalen's 24 years old.
Uh-huh.
He grew up watching LeBron
And
James.
that'd be Jalen Dollar.
So if you grew up in this era, you watch LeBron James, and you hear somebody like us, old heads, say, "Hey, Michael Jordan was that guy," and they didn't
Right,
see him play, all they hear is us talk about it. Then they're like, "Well, it was LeBron though," and it's like, dude, y'all don't get it. Like
right.
they don't, because they don't get it. Like you have to see Jordan. You know what I mean? Like you can see the highlights don't do it justice. We remember
No,
watching him at the end of the games where you knew even if he missed a shot, you forget the
he was
ones
getting
he
the ball.
missed because you
Right.
remembered all the moments he did make
That
the
he
big
didn't
play,
miss. Yeah.
right? That he didn't miss. And I know that it's like, okay, well, Larry, how in the hell where you going with this? How you compare that to wrestling? The reason why I say that is because I'm not calling Nate Michael Jordan, but what I'm saying is, to us and a lot of people, Nate is that guy for multiple reasons. Though it's not just because he had 25 title reigns or whatever. It's the whole package. It is his persona. It is his wrestling ability. It is his heel work. It is his promo work.
Right.
Now, John Cena got a lot going for himself as far as his promo work.
Mhm.
Wasn't known as the greatest in-ring technician. Wasn't bad in the ring,
No, it
but
wasn't bad.
he
Moves
definitely wasn't. He
move
definitely
set was
wasn't.
limited.
Very limited.
Yeah.
I said almost like a Hogan.
Yeah.
But and even with Cena was weird because he was over, but not with the adults. It was
Right.
like say with the kids. We us adults hated him.
Right.
Not all, but that stuff was real. Like
Yeah. But that kind of
so,
separates him from Hogan because the majority of the adults, kids, women loved Hogan in the
right,
80s.
right.
Um, you brought up Jordan and LeBron, and LeBron has been dominant as far as a dominant basketball player, individual. Um, Nate did a lot of first things he did. Jordan did a lot of things that nobody's ever done before. When I look at the two different personalities, when I look at LeBron, I think LeBron should be able to dominate the game whenever he wants to. So big, so strong, you know. And if you look at his fourth quarter stats, especially this last series, those fourth quarter stats were terrible. That's the last 10 minutes of the match. When
Yeah,
you're
but
when you're
I
taking
mean,
all the to go home.
let's be realistic.
Mhm.
He don't get this excuse, but he's 40 fucking years old.
Absolutely. But I hear that, but he also spends a magnitude amount of money to keep his body in shape. So I'm sure he don't feel 40.
Yeah, well,
That's
that's
smart. But I
true,
mean, who are we to say? We don't know.
and that's why he's been able to do what he's been able to do at
You
the
know
age
what?
of 40.
And true that. And but this episode is called the GOAT, so we can go all over the place.
True.
When I look at Jordan and LeBron, one thing that I respect about Jordan that I can't respect about LeBron is the stuff with the fans. Getting the fans kicked out of the games, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Well, no matter what was said or whatever, Jordan was going to tell them folks, I'm about to do this, I'm about to do this. And then after he done scored 30, 40, and they done blew their team out, Jordan going to talk to him after the game, talk trash right back to him. It's a different, and we talk about this all the time. Everything evolves, everything is different. But I'm just not a fan of that. So I'm not a fan of getting people kicked out of the game. I'm not a fan of
Well,
the
that
flopping.
incident that happened here in Atlanta, them motherfuckers deserve to get kicked out of the game.
Oh, okay.
You shouldn't buy no damn ticket and then go out there. I mean, yeah, you a fan and you get to yell and do what you want to do, and you earn that right. You bought that ticket, but it still comes. Crossing the line.
I'm
You
not
know.
familiar with what you're talking about here in Atlanta. I
Yeah.
remember it's something to do with some females or something, and
Yeah, no,
we're
them
close to
motherfuckers
the court.
deserve to get kicked out of the game.
Okay.
So,
I've seen. Well, it's happened more than once.
yeah.
So I've seen the one where he got two a girl and a guy kicked out.
I mean, you rather that or you rather the malice in the palace? I'm just saying.
Did you see the Up and Smoke podcast with Reggie Miller on there?
Nah, I've been seeing clips of it.
Man, when Steven
He
Jackson
talked about that.
apologized
Really?
to Reggie Miller was crying on there within 5 minutes of being on there.
Damn.
And I always thought of Reggie Miller was like cool, but he was a square.
Yeah.
But man, they talked about that team, and Steven Jackson was like, all they wanted to do was get him a championship.
Okay.
And man, Reggie Miller said when they signed Steven Jackson, Reggie Miller said, I'll come off the bench. This guy is tough.
What?
He can play ball. And they said
Yeah.
they weren't having it, but he offered to. And everybody knew that. Like he offered, but they felt so bad about getting kicked out of them games for so many because they had a squad and they felt like they could have really competed for a title that year.
Yeah.
And he was like, apologized to him as soon as he got on there for that. That they all felt terrible afterwards because of him.
Dang.
You know what I'm saying? Because they wanted to do it for him. Everybody loved him, and they knew he was on back end.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was like, man, Reggie Miller was like, he didn't want, he said, you don't ever apologize. He was like, I'm not gonna say that's basketball. He was like, but man, you gotta have your teammates back. He was like, yeah, it went bad. It went real bad. And it shouldn't have happened. But he was talking about how he was holding Ron Artest and he just saw that beer cup come in slow motion.
Man, that
He
was
was just like,
crazy, man.
there was nothing he could do about it. And as soon as it hit Ron Artest, he was like, he just couldn't get him back. He was the one holding him back.
Oh wow.
And man, he was like, they were talking about it and talking about, of course you see the thing on Netflix, the Untold about the Malice and Power. They thought they was going to jail. They thought they finna get they thought they getting kicked out the league.
Yeah, it was a lot
There's
going
a
on.
Steven Jackson said, Ron Artest looked there and said, you think we're gonna get in trouble? He was like, in trouble. He was like, bro, we finna get kicked out the league.
he talking about we gonna get suspended for a game or two. We like, dude.
Well, I got a whole different. Reggie Miller was already a killer on the court, dog.
Yeah, he definitely was an assassin.
Very competitive. Was not afraid of nobody.
Right.
The one thing I seen, you knew he was good because he was in all them pickup games down there, when they were doing Space Jam and stuff. When Jordan get ready to come back,
Right.
and they got those couple of videos out. They were all playing down there. But after hearing him on Up and Smoke, dog, a whole different respect for Reggie Miller.
Okay.
You know, and man, shout out to the Up and Smoke podcast, man. All the Smoke podcasts with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. I love Captain Jack. He's one of my favorite players. I wish he could have stayed in Atlanta longer.
Right.
You know, he was here for a short stint. But man, what a ball player he was. You know, and him and Matt Barnes just talk about all they, you know, they have they got such a good rapport with everybody that comes in. I think Matt Barnes was really misunderstood.
Right. I was
at first.
about to comment on Matt Barnes. I'm glad you
Yeah.
said that because I wasn't a fan of that guy when he was active in the league. But
Right.
since his podcast and hearing him talk and hearing him tell his stories, I have a different kind of respect for Matt Barnes, and I look at him different.
Yeah, and you hear his stories. Yeah, but you also hear about it. His peers talk about it,
right?
And if they ain't got a problem with him, you know, and he ended up even going to the Lakers and end up being one of Kobe's biggest fans. Cause they say Kobe, he talked to Kobe before. It's like, is this gonna be okay? He was like, anybody that was crazy enough to do that to me in the game, he was like, I wanted them on my team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because Matt Barnes wasn't scared of nobody.
Oh, hell no.
Nah, he was like, you know, Pat Beverly, just taller and, you know what I'm saying, a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
There's guys like there's guys now like Dylan Brooks and
Yeah.
who was that dude that was blowing in LeBron ear, LaShawn or the Stevenson.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, them guys like that, you know, that they wired different.
Yeah, but you need those guys.
Yeah, you need those
they'll
kind
get
of
out
guys.
there. Those guys will get out there. Look, you ain't never seen Dennis Rodman take a playoff.
No, or a Draymond Green or somebody like that, you know.
No, man. They do that weird stuff, but they also out there giving everything you got. It's all about basketball at the end of the day.
Them
And it's
the
all
kind
about
of
winning
guys.
games and trying to get some kind of advantage. Trying to get some kind of advantage.
Them the kind of guys you want on your team. You probably wouldn't like them playing against them.
Right.
You want them kind of guys in the foxhole with you. Because like you said, you know they're gonna give it their all, and you know that they're gonna do what they can do to sacrifice and do what they can do to try to win the game for their team.
Absolutely. Because I mean, bro, you didn't even Rodman to score points. You needed Rodman to get rebounds, get blocks, and intimidate whoever their big man was gonna get intimidated.
By any means necessary.
And going after Malone, you know what I'm saying? That Elijah, man, they had all kind of battles down there. Man, Ewing, when they used to go at it with the Knicks, you know what I'm saying? Especially in the Eastern playoffs. You know. But yeah, man, this is kind of welcome to basketball.
Right.
But yeah, man, back to the GOAT issue, and we were talking about LeBron, and then you could throw Kobe in there. You can definitely throw Kobe in the argument. Kobe was a stone cold assassin too.
Yes, he was.
The USA thing was, I think he really got some new fans off of that one. Because Kobe had a lot of haters.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know, he got Shaq traded. You know, was supposed to have told on Shaq, didn't get in trouble for the stuff in Colorado, you know. But when you see that thing Mike Krzyzewski talking about it and talking about when they reached out to him about playing on the team, the documentary on Netflix, I forget what they called that thing. But them playing, finally getting the gold again. Man, when that dude was talking about Pau Gasol, when they were gonna play, somebody gonna run through him first play.
Yeah.
And they were like, you ain't gonna, that's your teammate. You ain't finna do that. He was like, you ain't my teammate today. And ran right through him.
Kind of remind Kind of remind me what Mike and Scotty did with Coach and
Mm,
Dream Team.
yeah. Yeah, he did a lot of growing up that day.
Yeah.
And he did it growing up afterwards because they completely embarrassed him.
Right.
Had him shut down and had him rethinking all kind of stuff before he did he need to stay
Right.
overseas? You know, do they
Right.
not like me? You know, but they had to show him like where you're coming to, ain't no slacks over here. You
Right.
know. But he ended up being a factor for them
Absolutely.
and a big piece of the puzzle. You know, the last couple of championships. Yeah. Man, we had Tony Kukoc play the Hawks for a minute. Isn't that crazy?
Right.
They were way, way on later on in the career. But you know, let's get back to John Cena. Well, you want to talk about GOATs? Let's talk about Cena's rookie debut when his roster debut on SmackDown. Came out,
The,
slapped shit out of Kurt Angle.
the ruthless aggression slap.
Right. Think about the class he was in. That came into the WWE all together. That was in developmental together. Brock Lesnar, Batista, Randy Orton, and Cena.
Yeah, you forget one more.
Say it.
Shelton Benjamin.
Right. Got to talk to you about. I said, okay. Just hold on to Shelton Benjamin. That's a huge class without saying Shelton Benjamin.
Oh, no doubt. Well, no doubt, because he's not on, and no disrespect to Shelton Benjamin, he's not on their level. He's not on those four.
No,
We're talking
no,
about
no.
multiple world champions.
Right.
Yeah.
You take the Make-A-Wish stuff out of the situation.
Okay.
You take all that out. Okay. Because that's him, the human being doing that.
Right.
That's not the gimmick. That's not the character. Okay. Now, does he stay champion a lot because of that stuff? Does he get the belt because this person is not going to look good on TV?
Right. Or
Good morning,
like, well,
America.
I know
How many times?
John's gonna make that flight, right?
Right. And he's going to go in there with a great attitude, you know, and we're probably going to come out with a couple more viewers. You know, if they ask something stupid, Brock Lesnar is liable to say anything. Randy Orton is a little hothead.
Yeah,
You know,
and he was those younger years back then. So
Oh.
Randy, yeah,
like when Cody said when he came back and everybody's like, yeah, Randy's a family guy and goes home and does this and that. He was like, wait a minute, what?
right.
That's not the Randy I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying? So we'll come back to it. Watching Maven YouTube channel. I've become a big fan of Maven's YouTube channel.
Shout out Maven.
Yeah, a real behind the scenes. If I had it pulled up, I'd tell you all about it. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Had Shelton Benjamin on. They're watching the match with HBK. He's
That great super kick.
Yeah, sitting there talking about how, you know, first of all, he was, you know, 24, 25 years old at the time. Could be maybe a little bit older. And talking about how he just couldn't believe, like, he was in the ring with HBK. You know, Maven Huffman. Maven Huffman is the channel. Just look up Maven Huffman if you're an old school wrestling fan from back in the Ruthless Aggression era. He was was he the first winner of Tough Enough, or I don't think he was the first winner, was he?
I think he was the first winner.
Was he?
I think so. Could be wrong. which I'm not wrong on.
Might be because that was the one with Al Snow, and that's because that he was in the class when Triple H showed up.
Right.
Like, your ball, one of your nuts is hanging out.
Right.
Talking to one of the other guys. Because remember, he came in there, he was asking, he was like, big man, you having trouble taking bumps and this, and this. Big fucking deal. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
I remember that.
yeah, Shelton Benjamin was on there, and they were talking about that match, and Maven asked him who came up with that spot. He was like, did HBK ask you to do that? And he was like, no. He was like, that was Michael Hayes. He was like, Michael Hayes asked me. He was like, can you spring? How far can you springboard across the ring? He was like, all the way across. And he was like, they were so amazed, but he was like, not trying to be funny, but I was just used to. I knew I could do that stuff, so whatever I knew I could do, I wasn't too impressed about because I already knew I could do it. So everybody else is impressed, and he's like, I've been doing stuff like that. But they said that super kick, that springboard, and the super kick, he said that was all PSAs.
Okay.
And said him and HBK talked about the match a little bit, but as soon as they got out there, he was just, HBK called the whole thing out there. He said it was, one of the greatest, but I just thought that was cool how, our boy just is pretty freaking creative. And it's a reason why, shoot, man, you want to talk about GOATs, we'll talk about PSAs. There's no way in the world that he's supposed to have a job that long with them. With his antics, the way he is, you know what I'm saying? From his past.
That'll go show you that he's really good at what he does backstage.
He is really great at his job, man. He's very creative. And, I was watching a thing with the Hardys when he was telling Jeff Hardy, he was like, breathe. And Jeff Hardy was like, good idea. He was like, and then you could hear him in the back. He was like, come on, man. He was like, they know who you are. You've been here before. And it's just like, wow, that just him in the gorilla position and helping out with creative and stuff. That man's been doing it for so long. He's gonna be like, not all the way like, but be like, what you call it?
Pat Patterson.
Yeah, Pat Patterson. Those guys, there is no life after wrestling for them.
Right.
That's the only thing they know how to do. And so that puts John Cena in a different thing because there's so much stuff he can do. He's everywhere now. But the one thing I do like about John Cena, he's never going to talk bad about the wrestling business. He always says everything that he has is from the wrestling business. If there's no wrestling, there's no John Cena. You know what I mean? And not the other way around.
Right.
But I just don't see him as being the GOAT. I don't see him as the greatest of all time when it comes to wrestling. I think there's too many firsts that other people have done too much. He's been involved in some good stuff, but there's so much greatness, so much good storylines and stuff that happened over the years, man. Them title runs, they don't mean what they used to mean. Title, that they having that title don't, because like now, back in the day, if you were the man, you had the belt. What do we talk about all the time? Well, such and such don't need the belt. He's already this, and that. Title runs not mean as much as they used to.
I agree to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You're right, definitely right. Though, I mean, especially how we talked about that ruthless aggression. Well, really, it kind of started with the Attitude Era, though. I mean, think about it. I mean, them guys who passed that title around like it was
Stone Cold to have it, Kane will have it, Stone Cold to get it right back.
Yeah,
I mean, him out of it again.
And you think about guys like Stone Cold and The Rock, their run wasn't that long.
It really it wasn't. I don't think people don't even understand that
Right,
it was for a few years.
right,
You know, they
right,
were just big years.
right. Then
They were huge.
I mean, that's why you think of somebody like a Triple H who had that longevity, like a obviously like a Undertaker, HBK, those guys. They've been out there for years. HBK, of course, we know his story. He took 4.5 years off and came back and had a long run when he came back.
Almost.
Um,
When did he retire? 11.
yeah, WrestleMania 26, that was 15, 2010.
Okay, so he came back for almost 10 years.
Yeah, when he came back, 19. Yeah, about 7 years. Yeah.
Yeah, but 01, he came back at 01, right? 02.
Uh, uh, well, he did, but his first WrestleMania back was WrestleMania 19, which
Yeah.
was 22, which was in '03.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He's been gone since what, 97, 98,
yeah, 98, WrestleMania
98.
14.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah,
he
that's what I
came
said.
back he came back to SummerSlam of '02.
Yeah. Okay. So a good 7, 8 years back.
Yeah, and
Most of it was full time.
it just and you know you think of like what's a criteria. I mean, everybody had their own opinions, even a Rushmore. And you think of a
Uh-huh.
Rushmore, you think of four, but it's like you have a hard time because again, like for example, have Hogan in my Rushmore. Hogan definitely not my favorite wrestler,
At
and I know
all.
he's not yours either. But I
No.
cannot not put him on the Rushmore for what his accomplishment and what he means to the rest of business. And
Yeah.
here I am, I'm saying that The Rock and Triple H and all these guys and them the two guys that I have a hard time of deciding who's my fourth man. And then there's some
Yeah.
people I think I'm crazy for not even saying The Undertaker. Well, hell, we could say HBK. There's some people that I know you're not gonna like this, but some people swear by Bret Hart, or there's me, John Cena. Or how can you not say if you want to talk about that era? Hell, Randy Orton. I mean, so it's just hard for me. I definitely can't call the man the GOAT. He's accomplished a lot. Congrats to him for the 17th time, even though we both, how we both feel about that. But regardless, the man is a great person. I know we don't know this guy personally, but you don't hear nothing bad about him. He's definitely very professional. We talked about how he did all the Make a Wish foundations, how he shows up to the Good Morning Americas and he does the heart to heart shows with Kevin Hart and Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp and he's doing all the voiceover commercials for Hyundai and he's doing his thing with the movies and
Dude, he's on the McDonald's drive-through menu out there
right,
out by my house.
right.
I
So
stopped
I
by and
mean,
take the boys to McDonald's the other day. We pulled in. John Cena's right there. Dun,
right
dun,
there.
dun, dun, just staring at you. You know
So
what I'm saying?
So I mean, as far as all that, kind of hard to argue his accomplishments and what he meant to the wrestling business, but uh, it just again, I know it's subjective, but he's
Yeah.
definitely he's
He's like
definitely
a Heisman winner, but didn't go to the University of Alabama. So it makes him okay, but it doesn't make him great. You know what I'm saying? That's great.
I I'll let you have that one. No comment. Hey,
Oh man. So now so I never thought about what I said earlier. So I'm thinking like some of those title reigns are strictly for publicity. If you think about it, Not that he's over, because of course he was over, but mostly with the kids and stuff,
Right.
you know. But I tell you what, one thing I do like about him as well, he embraces the hate so good. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
When
Absolutely.
the guy with the I Cena suck shirt or I hate Cena, he'll go down there and have the title and just sit there next to him. Just do this, silly stuff. And
Right.
I loved how, that I pop for stuff like that.
Right.
That was cool. And but yeah, can I call him the hell no, I can't call him the GOAT. No. Cause like I say, you got Ric Flair, you got too many people out there that if you gotta have a top, is he top 10 of all time?
It's kind of hard not to put him in that
Yeah.
because I mean it'd
Or
be
is it
almost
too early?
disrespectful.
Is it too
Well,
early to put him in the top 10 all the time?
I mean, but who do you? True, but it's almost disrespectful not to.
Let me tell you like this. It's hard it's disrespectful to everybody because if you're gonna do a top 10, you're gonna say, okay, you know, you're only looking at the main WCW, WWE. You know what I
Okay,
mean? You can have a
right.
top 10 ECW guys, and Shane Douglas be your GOAT of ECW, and don't mean shit in WCW or WWF. You know what I'm saying?
I mean that's true, but I'm not comparing ECW to.
No, but you're not gonna compare it to WWE or WCW, but it was an era in wrestling where they were competing, and
That's true, but they still was they wasn't really competing though. It was almost like they were just kind of like enhancement. They were
mm,
competing, but it wasn't like it didn't make or break neither of the other shows. It was just
yeah, well,
almost
you're
like,
right because the Gwinnett Braves can't afford to keep somebody if the Atlanta Braves come to them.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, but
put
I'm just
you got the franchise and you got Dean Douglas. Now that wasn't Shane Douglas' fault that he had a terrible gimmick in
yeah,
WWE. That's
yeah,
not his fault at all. You know what I mean? We
right,
both know that. We both
yeah,
know
yeah,
this.
yeah.
But still,
You got to do
though,
what they
it's
tell you to
like,
do up there.
yeah. But
Let's do
still,
your
that's what people remember, though.
right, yeah, but
And I
like
sure as hell take franchise any day over Dean Douglas. The franchise was a
hell
badass,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know. And
But let's
Shane Douglas underrated till this day because he didn't get the run he deserved when he was in WWE or
right,
WWF at the time.
right, and he could work too, and he was
Hell
hell on
yeah.
that mic, you know. Absolutely, yeah, man. Okay, let's do a top 10 then and see if we got to put Cena in there right now.
Okay.
So who's number one? Flair. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So who's number two?
I
And
mean,
this
so
is all
are we?
time.
I mean, so are we really doing the order, or are we just throwing names out there?
Just throw names out there. I'm just throwing names out
All
there,
right.
and you see,
Well,
do we pick 10 before we pick Cena? And that's how
okay.
we end the show.
Right. So Flair Hogan,
Okay, that's two,
Rock, Stone Cold,
four, HBK,
5,
five, Triple H.
6,
You ain't even got to know old school names yet, dog. You ain't even put Harley Race in there.
Undertaker,
That's what
7. That's 7 right there, bro. Then we ain't say Macho Man.
Macho
We
Man.
like,
That's eight. So you
that's
mean
8
to
right
tell me
there.
after we just said eight names and there's two? And, come on, dog. Kurt
Yeah.
Angle.
I will put see, I would have to put Cena ahead of him.
You think so? You think Kurt Angle did his best work in TNA?
Kurt Angle was a badass, so I'm not saying he don't belong on this list because he does, but I for what Cena has accomplished, because it's still a work, right? It's still a work. So I had to put I had to put Cena ahead of Kurt Angle.
Okay, do you put Cena ahead of Sting?
That one hurts me, but I have to.
He's-
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to
Okay,
do that. I don't want to do that, but I think you have to.
because of the title runs.
Uh, yeah, and see that's the problem though. Like I said, there's really no real criteria. You know what I mean? Because now it comes to the point, especially with me and you, is like we both love Sting, right? And I- it's not there's not a list that I would put together right now that I would gladly admit that I would put John Cena ahead of Sting. Even if I could sit here and say that I will have to for this list, I still don't want to,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
But I think you would have to. But and like you said, but we didn't mention Dusty Rhodes, we didn't mention Harley Race, and then because almost like it's kind of hard to compare another sport again. It's like when they talk about they got the top 75 and all this other shit. And it's like, they talk about guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West and Oscar Robertson. Like, we didn't see them guys play.
No. And you
You
didn't
know,
see
and
all the 5'8" white guys that they played against either.
well, exactly. Like Wilt Chamberlain wasn't playing against a Shaq and Elijah Wan and a Ewing, David Robinson.
Uh,
You know what I mean? But
right.
then, but then
Lonzo
on the
Mourning getting banged up by him. They weren't doing that.
yeah, so kind of hard to, that's why they say it ain't good to compare eras. But I mean,
Right.
it's plus let's since we're talking about basketball, look at what again. Now this is a benefit for Jordan's argument. Look what he had to deal with in his era. Detroit Pistons, for example,
Oh my
when they went to
gosh.
the hole, they clothesline you
Right.
and knock you to the ground, and it wasn't a flagrant. You just
Right.
shoot your free throws and shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Like
Or we can get to
now,
it right now and probably not gonna get kicked. It might get kicked out of the game, probably won't even get suspended.
and now it's like they look at you wrong, they might call foul.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so it just kind of, I don't know, man. It
You talk
it
about the Pistons when you talking about Jordan play who he had to deal with as far as like going to the hole and them, they had the Jordan rule. They take him out when he come there.
right.
But, you know, don't take away from them tough. A lot of teams are tough. He had to go through them Lakers. He had to go through the Pistons. He had to go through the Knicks. So there
Boston,
were some tough teams.
Boston. I mean, they still
Man,
was tough. I mean,
you
it's
had
just different. Hell, like you said, Morning and LJ. I mean, it was just like you said, it was just different. And I know we can talk about wrestling, and the point is that we look at like now we're kind of spoiled now. We watch Monday Night Raw, and we don't see Brooklyn Brawler, Barry Horowitz, Iron Mike Sharp
right,
fighting
Mike
in a
Jackson.
three.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
it's
Steve
Mike.
Jones.
Yeah, and I don't really look at Mike Jackson's enhancement talent, but he did a lot of tag team stuff to where he was, he wasn't the one to get beat down, but he would, he'd go against TV champion or something like that.
Right.
But
But
still, you knew he wasn't gonna win on TV.
right. I
You
mean, and but the game is. I mean, you watch back in the day. You watch, Georgia Championship. I mean, World Championship Wrestling, and they had center stage, and the Road Warriors fight against two guys that look like they got from Home Depot.
right,
They don't have matches like that now. They
No,
can't get away with it like that. Not an abundance of them. They
no,
might have a new guy. Like maybe like a Jacob Fatu when he first started. He might fight against two guys and beat them up real squash match or something. They still do stuff like that every now and then,
every blue moon,
but
but
they're not having like half the damn card where it just
right.
you know
Those are back in the day pay-per-view matches.
right, right.
You
So
know, you
it's
imagine
funny,
the Horsemen coming out and fighting, four guys that nobody ever heard of. You know what I mean?
right?
Ain't nobody doing that no more.
We
They
and
kill
see,
you. They kill you.
yeah, they can't do that. They can't
Right,
not today. But it's funny when I hear people say, "Well, it ain't like it used to be," and I'm like, "What are you basing this off of?
right,
Is it just because you're just older and
right,
you just?" I mean, which I understand that, but I think a lot of people don't understand why they don't like wrestling now. They don't even know why they don't. They just
right.
it
They
ain't the
just don't.
same.
Yeah.
Like I was riding an Uber with this one guy the other day, and he was talking about. He said, "Well, the storylines ain't like it used to be," and I was like, "Well, you ain't been watching the past 3 years, because
Man, I'm trying to tell you.
I
And
said,
the
and
right,
I told the guy, I said, well, look, I know that. I said, just like any other TV show or whatever you're into, if you ain't been watching something for a while and you just turn the channel and try to pick up on it, you're not gonna know what's going on. You're probably not gonna like it. That's just with anything. I said, but to your point though, I was like, the storyline's been past 3 to 4 years been excellent. I said everything don't hit, but they've been doing the damn thing, and so all that, it ain't like it used to be. No, it's not. I said, just like any other sport, football, they throw the ball
it's
70
not.
times,
What do
70%
you
of the
what do you
time.
want? You want a
Yeah,
2 minute
right.
headlock? You know what I'm
I don't
saying? Until
I
it's
don't know,
until
man.
yeah, a 2 minute headlock until intermission, come back, do a test of
They
strength.
they don't know what they want. Because like you, to your point, if they go out there and start having matches like that, they'll be changing the damn channel.
Right. His
So
finisher is the Russian sickle. No,
yeah,
that's a
I don't.
closesline, dog.
Yeah,
It's
I
not a
don't. I
sickle,
don't
it's a
know.
clothesline. He
Maybe
just
they
beat you with a
they
clothesline.
listen. Maybe they listen for Gordon
Hey,
soldiers or something.
man,
I don't know.
the leg drop is the worst finisher of all time. The
You ain't
leg,
gonna hear no arguing from me. You said it, not me.
the leg drop is the worst finisher of all time. How stupid. It's so
Yeah. So,
stupid.
but I mean,
Yokozuna did a leg drop. That wasn't even his finisher. His leg was like this big,
yeah,
and he got higher.
and that leg drop was part of the reason why he got out of the back surgeries and stuff. So
Yeah, it was a
he did more
dumbass
damage
finish.
to himself doing the leg drop than anybody else. Doesn't work for me, brother.
I should have used a sleeper, brother.
Those was his
Yeah,
words.
maybe Roddy Piper really did know what he was doing.
Right,
That joker used a sleeper hold.
right.
You're in the sleeper hold. You know, I think. Do you put John Cena's way better than Roddy Piper. We agree on that. If you're gonna
Yeah.
top, Roddy Piper's not top 10.
Oh, hell no. I
No,
mean, he might get mad if he hear you say that. Let rest in peace, Roddy Piper. But
right? I was about
yeah, but
he ain't
he's
listening.
he's
But
nowhere near that list for me.
yeah, I yeah, he thought he was.
Yeah, he thought he was, but
I'll never forget that he was so mad. He was so mad that year at WrestleMania when The Rock and Stone Cold and Hogan went out there. Hogan called it the Silver
The
Dome.
Silverdome,
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania 30 in
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans, Superdome. Called it the Silverdome. Yep.
And then that's when he was like, all you had to do was hit the bagpipes. And I'm like, dude, you know, you don't even belong out there with them unless you were interviewing them.
Now, yeah, I mean, I get the crowd with a pop because it's Roddy Piper, but he's not them Rushmore guys that was in that ring. You know
What
what
would
I
he
mean?
be?
Yeah, he's
Somebody
not.
like he's on a few people's Mount Rushmores, his kids, you
Well,
know what I'm saying? His wife, fucking
hey
and,
man,
and of course, if it's your favorite, well, if you would just grew up, that was your favorite wrestler. You got
right?
these folks that always throw out the old name. Oh, my favorite was Roddy Piper. 'Cause that's the one you remember.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to say Hogan because everybody says Hogan.
right.
So, but no, he ain't. If you ask 100 wrestling fans, they Mount Rushmore, he might be on 3 of them, and they might be like 70.
I mean, there's heels that I would rather take than him, like Jake Roberts, Mr.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Rick
I
Rude.
think Rick Rude, Ted DiBiase.
Yeah,
I mean,
which you hear a lot about, and what's crazy is that $1 Million Man was like that was his last run. He
right,
had, and he wasn't $1 Million Man for a long time.
right.
That was his last run. They say he was held early.
Yeah,
We didn't see
with
him till late.
mid South. Yeah, when
Yeah, we
but
didn't see him
especially when he
till
was
late.
running around with the Rat Pack when it was him,
Yeah,
Jim Duggan, and Matt Bourne.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
What?
They well,
How the hell does Jim Duggan stay with a job for so long? Out of
I
all them old school guys, man, that Joker was still out there. He might get beat,
I think he
whatever.
was. I think he was really using that 2x4.
And
I mean, I don't know. I don't
no
know.
disrespect to him, that's
Uh,
amazing.
but back to DiBiase real quick though. You know that they said he was one of the guys that almost became an NWA world champion, like far as traveling world champion. He was one of the
Yeah,
guys that they voted about.
yeah,
They was kind of grooming him to potentially become a champion.
yeah.
Around the same time in the
Like
early
a
'80s
Magnum
there,
PA, like they did with
right?
bro, man, and is Flair end up really being Flair if Magnum don't get hurt?
Mm, great point there. I don't know,
Flair's
but
already Flair by the time Magnum's there, but you haven't even got to the Big Go era yet before Magnum got hurt.
yeah, he was right there at it in '86.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, man. Of course, obviously they told that story 1,000 times. Very unfortunate. Um, but I don't know. But again, this is the GOAT conversation. I know we kind of all over the place, talk
yeah.
about different sports and everything, but um, it's still hard for me to take Flair off of that list because, and not just because of the title reigns. I just think he checked all of the boxes.
Every one of them.
Yeah, and he's
And
not the only
kills
one, but he checked overwhelmingly. It checked all of the boxes. He
kills
does
the
have the
box.
title reign.
Right.
He is a great promo. He he his
Great seller.
flashiness, great seller, great heel,
Got plenty of offense.
plenty of offense. Like, and even at his age, when he's in the 40s, he still was the most conditioned wrestler in that locker room.
at his 50s.
So
He was still going strong.
yeah, so it's kind of hard to argue with that, and it's not just because the title range. Uh, plus it was a reason why even if you lose the title to Kerry Von Erich and you get the belt back in 2 weeks, there's a reason why they said, Nate, hey man, we
Yeah.
we're gonna go ahead and put that back on you, man. We for whatever reason, whether they don't trust the other guy or they just wanted to get a pop out the crowd, whatever reason, they trusted him to carry the company from
Right.
what was it first reign in like 82 or something like that,
I
all
want
the
to see
way
it.
until Jim Crockett becomes WCW,
Yeah.
and of course years
It
after.
was 81 or 82 because the first title reign wasn't very long.
Right.
And they said he just wasn't ready for the first one.
Right.
Which they felt about that with a lot of guys, if you look at it. You say what you want to about people booking themselves, and you hear a lot of stuff about Dusty Rhodes with Kevin Nash. Like Kevin Nash won the title and then got the finger poke of doom the very next night. Like, how is he booking for himself? You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Dusty Rhodes is a 3-time champion. 3-time
And
champion.
they weren't
But
long title reigns either.
at all. But and even you'll hear Flair talk about stuff like that, about kind of feeling kind of bad about it, and it wasn't working out, and he'll get it right back. You know what I mean? But man, I was just gonna say something I forgot just that quick. But Flair doesn't come off the list. Flair's ultimately always gonna be my number one, but realistically, there's a major top 5 that you really don't want to put in order, and he's in there. You know, you cannot not put The Rock and Stone Cold in there because nobody ran the business, no matter how long it was they were there. Nobody has come in and got booed. Rocky sucks, die, Rocky die, and turn into the most electrifying. You turn to the biggest superstar the wrestling world had ever seen.
With
And
the
so
millions.
and millions. You control, the first one to really control the crowd like that. And then Stone Cold, nobody sold tickets like him. Nobody sold merch like him. And just, you got to put those guys in there because, you know, you just
Yeah.
have to. Yeah. And like I say, we didn't even get in, we didn't say Harley Race, Macho Man, freaking, um, I'm gonna tell you one of the most over champions that they don't really talk about was Sid. Sid was so over with the crowd, it was ridiculous. Everywhere he
Yeah.
went, he just, it's almost like that big man curse. They want to have you, but you know, you can't let you. If you got a big man on top all the time, it's like who can realistically beat them? You know what I mean?
True.
That's why you got, Big Show ain't got 10,000 title reigns.
True.
You try to let him get his twos and fews and then put him back over here to help with some kind of stable, do a tag team, fight Mayweather at WrestleMania, shit like that. And we didn't even say Andre the Giant. So Cena's not top 10.
Andre don't count.
Come on. How you don't count?
Because he don't. Like, I
He's over
mean,
here by himself in a whole class by himself.
hear me out.
Okay.
One, he didn't it wasn't like he was a big single superstar. Like a lot of the time he was an attraction. So
Yeah.
When he went to the territories, a lot of his stuff was battle royals and stuff, right?
Right.
Then when he did fight somebody, of course, he fought the big guy like a John Studd or Kamala or some badass nasty heel like a Killer Khan or somebody like that. Um, then in the 80s, he kind of he got older and his health started declining, so he wasn't the same. Then he turned heel and had the whole thing with Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 3, and then
How many tickets they sell?
so what?
How many tickets they sell?
Oh, 93,000. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the thing is that that's why he don't count because I mean, yeah, they sold 93,000, but you remember that match? I mean, they made it work for what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah,
Uh,
but it's
which
just
is
like
not.
it's almost kind of like we're being hypocrites then because he was an attraction, but he was the main attraction that everybody paid to see because he was larger than life.
So okay. So you put Andre Giant in your Rushmore?
No,
Okay, then
you put Andre before Cena. No,
he's not going up there to me.
okay, but I
I
think
mean,
we
I,
proved.
I don't
So,
put him
so
before
are you
Bruno
are you saying he's
Sammartino.
top? Are you saying he's top 10? Or are you saying
I,
he's not? I'm talking
I
about
wouldn't even
Cena.
put him top. I went Cena. He borderline. I'm gonna put him just outside of it.
Okay, but you still not gonna put Sting in front of him
No,
or Kurt Angle.
no.
Okay. I'm with you. Okay. Hey. Okay. So, and we didn't even really talk about football. We just didn't talk about basketball.
Yeah, 'cause I wanted to touch on the whole Shador thing.
Well, do it.
What are your thoughts on that whole? I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, but I'm kind of curious because I know you're a big primetime fan, and I am too. But I'm kind of curious to hear what you have to say about how that whole situation went down.
Um. Uh, listen, I'm the biggest Deion Sanders fan there is. I love Prime. I never in my life have I cheered for another college football team. I watched every one of Colorado's games. Um, Me personally, and I think part of this, they say it was the owners and stuff, and he did this and he did that. And so, some anonymous coach said it was the worst interview we ever had. We're gonna go back to the part like, only very few athletes have this. Very few. He's never been in trouble. He's never done anything. Just, never been arrested, never been in trouble, never been, suspended for a game, never been late for a practice. I remember watching the Deion Sanders family show that they had, and he was getting a haircut. This one state a couple of days ago, we ran bleachers today, threw some. Kids been winning since been winning. First of all, I'm so anxious to see what he does with an actual offensive line in front of him that can really compete. And it hasn't been thrown together. I think they punished him for his dad. I think they punished him for the way he carries himself. I think they punished him because he does not need the NFL to live comfortable for the rest of his life. The NFL is not bringing him out of the ghetto. It's not bringing him off the street. That's what I think they love. They love that story. his story, the NFL is this big in his story. I think the kid is destined for greatness. I think nobody knows the real him except for the people that's closest around him. And I think his nickname is grown for a reason. He's been acting like a grown man for so long, like he got like an old soul, his dad says. And they've been calling him grown. You know, I think he comes in the league with a chip on his shoulder. And I think that everybody's going to be disappointed that they didn't draft him. And that second contract, they're going to have to come with it. And I hope he kills it. I could care less about people thinking he's too flashy. He shows off. The man works hard. You know, you're doing the same thing your favorite rapper does, your favorite actor does. They buy jewelry, they buy expensive shit that you can't buy because they can. That's what everybody wants to do anyway. They want to have money so they can buy what they see on TV, what they see what the athletes got. And these athletes are getting paid in college now. But he got money. His dad has money. These kids are all successful at different things. Shiloh, and you want to talk about Shador, and I'm gonna let you talk about it. I know I'm just going on, but you want to talk about Shador, man. What about Shiloh being one of the best big brothers that you ever seen in your life? So happy for him that they're on the same team and he's not getting an eighth of the coverage that his brother is. And is there for him and so happy, was there the whole weekend. And he's so funny too, because they showed one clip. He was like, man, if they doing this to you, well, he was like, boy, he was like, what are they gonna do to me? You know what I mean? And Shiloh didn't even end up getting drafted. He got signed as an undrafted free agent by the Tampa Bay Bucks. And I just want to say one thing about Prime. When they showed him getting the call, Dion said, let me talk to such and such, the general manager. And everybody's making a big deal like that. Like, why do you need to talk to him? And the general manager came out and said, it ain't none of your business what we talked about. But he was like, he actually thanked him for giving his son a shot and a fair shot. And just was like saying, thank you. Prime was in the league for how long? 13 years, 12 years, something like that. I know it got cut a little bit short because of the toes and he came back. NFL Network. The man has so many NFL friends everywhere. When they're talking about the coaches, he's saying, this is a good dude. This guy's a good dude. He'll look out for you. This, and this. He knows everybody. People just love to hate on people. I don't understand. I do think, and I'm gonna let you go right here, but people in the world just expect you to do different shit, and they expect you to act a certain way, and they feel if you got this, and this, you should be doing, acting this way and this way. People hate an individual, and Shador is definitely an individual. Primetime is an individual. They're not like everybody else. There's something about them that makes them make big plays. There's something about them that makes them flashy and they want to do this. And, Prime wasn't out there just, acting a fool, man. Half of the time, Prime was out there praising God when he was scoring touchdowns. But he was the best dressed. He got paid the most. But I think it was sad, man. I think it was wrong the way it went down. I know what I've seen. I know I'm not a professional scout, but there's no way there's 144 better players than him coming out of the draft. And I think it was ridiculous. I think they tried to prove a point, and I think they tried to break that man's spirit, and I think it backfired on him. I think it's going to backfire on him big time. you know, and I go to that fan. I stand wholeheartedly. I do believe that the NFL, you know, they want to somehow kind of own you. And they want you to be one of those that don't have anything. And this is the only way you'll ever make it out is through them. And he's going to be all right regardless. And I don't think they like that. But that's my rant for that. And I'm very curious because we haven't really talked about it with one
Well,
another.
I have mixed feelings about it. First and foremost, I agree with you. I think they was trying to prove a point to Dion. And it's one of those situations where it kind of sucked to be son of prime time. And now the reason I say I got mixed feelings about it is because when you hear, of course, you know, we just hearing secondary information, and that a lot of these reports was from anonymous people.
Mm,
So you don't know what general manager said this or what coach said that.
right.
Now, what did bother me though was early on in this process, they said that he will only talk to like 5 teams.
Right.
That's not helping yourself. But
You're right about that.
uh, and then of course you hear about the attitude and all of that. Now I will say this though, and a lot of this is obviously Shador Sanders is not the only athlete that's cocky and arrogant. I mean, hell, damn near all of them are. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
That was my problem. Like y'all singling this kid out as if he's don't like he's the only one. Like, come on now.
Like this is the
And
celebration era.
yeah, and then and they're gonna get worse because of this whole NIL thing. And like you said, they
Yeah.
already making money.
Mm-hmm.
And hell, these kids are transferring to different schools every year. It's a
Making
totally
more money
different
than some of
mindset.
them making more money than the coaches.
Totally different mindset
Yeah.
than it used to be, as far as these athletes, these kids coming into the league. Uh, I just really felt bad. Now I was cool with the okay, he didn't get drafted first round.
Yeah.
I was even cool when Dart when the Giants picked Dart. I'm like, okay, whatever. But when they started getting into like the third round and all that,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it was
That's,
like
come on.
Gabriel got picked before him, and then the Saints picked the guy from Louisville, and then Pittsburgh, who needs a quarterback, kept passing on him. I'm just like, come on, man. Now it's getting ridiculous. So
Milrow got picked.
Milrow got so now this could be a good thing. He could turn. Hopefully, he make this negative turn to a positive. But now, at least he was humbled. Whether we
Yeah.
like it or not, he was humbled. He got a chip on his shoulder, so that could be the best thing that ever happened to him. But it was just a damn shame how they made an example of that
And
kid,
costing him millions.
costing millions of dollars, which he gonna get that
Millions of
back.
dollars. Oh yeah, he
But
gonna get it back. He
but
gonna get
but
it
you're
back
right
through
though.
deals and that second
He gonna have
contract.
to wait for it. He gonna have to
Yeah.
wait for
And
it.
work for it.
And also even with Cleveland, okay, I'm glad somebody drafted him. There's no doubt in my mind that I would think that he would beat out Dylan Gabriel, but by the fact
Mhm.
that they picked that dude in the third round, they picked him in the fifth round. It's like so that's like a whole nother obstacle he gonna have to cross. Cause he gonna have to be better than him. If they're
Yeah.
around the same,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying. Like it's already an uphill battle.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt in my mind that now he got a chip on his shoulder. He's going to show them people what time it is, and I think he's going to end up being a quarterback of the future for the Browns.
Yeah.
It's just a rocky start, and I just really hate how that went down the
Yeah.
way it did because you can't sit here and tell me that you can't sit here with a straight face and be like he should have got drafted in the fifth round. I understand a lot of teams didn't need quarterbacks either, but for the ones that did, come on now. The Saints drafted dude
They
from
treated that
Louisville.
man like he was a Jacksonville State quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
Man, yeah, that's that was a damn shame, man. So yeah,
Now
like
let
you
me
said, we
ask
didn't
you.
talk about it. I agree with a lot what you said though. So shout
Let
out
me ask
Shador
you this.
Sanders. God bless you,
Absolutely,
man.
man.
Go out there
Shout
and
out to
show them.
Shiloh, man. Shiloh, Deion Jr., Coach Prime, all of them. You
Yeah,
know,
just
I love that,
show
the
them
win
folks
loss.
that make them people who didn't draft you eat them word. Like I want Pittsburgh to have yoke on their face. I want the Saints to
Yeah,
have yoke on their face. I want the Giants to have yoke on their face.
because
You
you
know what
just
I mean?
knew when they traded up, they was just grabbing. I was like, okay, they made him wait a minute. Now they finna grab him. Because they still like he still lost money by then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah. Well, let's talk about this real quick then. You want to talk
Okay.
about some jersey retirements?
Hmm. I didn't. I don't agree with that. It being so soon. Now I agree that they turned everything around because Colorado sucked for a long time before they got there. For a long time. So I'm not mad at the fact that they're doing it. I just think it's a little too soon, my opinion. Uh,
Yeah,
when you got guys like a Cordell Stewart and folks like that who, again, they haven't been good in a long time, but Eric Bieniemy and somebody like that. But I mean, they was good in their heyday, and they
yeah,
don't have their
yeah,
shit retired. Then you're gonna turn around and it's not like they went to. I mean, they turned the program around, but they still wasn't. It wasn't like they went to college football playoff or something. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I'm not hating. That's just my opinion. Again, I'm not saying that their numbers should be retired. I just think that this is pretty soon for that, especially when you got like a
yeah.
Cordell Stewart or somebody who never got their number retired. Uh, I don't know.
Well, the only thing I'm gonna say is this: like I saw if you look, they showed Shador and Cordell stats, against each
You
other.
can't you can't compare that, man. They throw the ball way more today than they did.
Bro, absolutely. Like I was just gonna say that, it's like yeah, we throw the ball a lot, but they was like throwing ball on third down back then. You know,
Right. Right. That's true. First
two.
first down run,
If,
second down
hey,
run, third down.
if these two sweeps don't work, then
We're gonna throw it
we'll
to the
do
tight
a trips right post. Get a fullback in there.
end. Throw the waggle.
They were like, "What? What's the fullback?
Right.
What the hell's a nose tackle?" You know what I'm saying?
A 7-man front. We ain't seen those in years.
Right.
They gonna
That's
get
just
that
like the
nickel
drop.
in there.
That's like the drop kick. Was that 3 points? Never haven't seen that since 1959.
Right.
Motherfucker ain't seen a nose guard since 2017.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Shout out to them too, man. And congrats. Regardless of where he got drafted. I mean, he got his foot in the door, man. It's a
Yeah.
shame that it happened that way. But hey, he got drafted. He on the team now. Now it's on him to shut these people up, man. I'm definitely pulling for him.
Oh
And
yeah.
hopefully we can look back at this and we can talk about how all them teams look stupid for not picking them.
Right. So who's gonna be the person to get 3 kids in the league? LeVar Ball almost did it. Dion almost
Damn.
Dion had 2 out of 3. Dion Jr. went to SMU and played football. So
Damn.
who had a 3 kid?
Well, the Watts did it.
Ooh, sure did.
Yeah.
You gotta have your long snapper. He's
Who's
a hell of a long snapper.
there were two Kelseys, the McCourty twins.
They said it should have been 3 Mannings. They say Cooper was better than all of them.
Didn't he play receiver though?
They say he was a better football player than all three of them.
No,
I
he's
think
like
he
a
played
better
quarterback. I don't know.
athlete. I think he played receiver though.
I don't know if but he got hurt. We finna see what Art's gonna do.
Right.
Which man, they doing something over there, but there's something in the water in Mississippi over there.
Yeah, something they doing to the arms. But
imagine both your boys being in the lead, dog.
Crazy.
What if you was the dad of the Pouncey twins? Both of your sons just starting the lead.
Right. Forgot about them.
Your joke was hell, boy.
Yeah, I forgot
Two
about
linemen, twin brothers.
Yeah.
They like the Usos.
Right. Forgot about them. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But shout out NFL, that NFL draft. So we'll see what happens the next coming months with all of that.
So how far does Shador fall in the fantasy draft?
I don't know.
He might be like 4th or 5th round.
I don't know. We'll see. Pablo might pick him at number 1 and try to trade him. He's gonna pick him at number 2 and then try to trade him. Yeah.
I give you Shador for Bryce Young. You know what I'm saying?
He won't do that. He'll try to give you Shador for like Josh Allen or something. You know what I mean? He's waiting for the fences. You know.
Right.
Let me get Lamar Jackson. I give you Shador. Wait a minute, man. What? Man, he was the number 2 pick. Yeah, but
you don't care. Like you say, he's looking paid. Man, hell no.
I'm not, like, why would I trade somebody who I know is gonna be a top 5 quarterback in our fantasy league, and you want me to trade that for? Yeah, that's Pablo though. Don't get us started with him.
Yeah. Well, hey man, this has been the GOAT conversation. It was all over the place, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It's been episode 19, man. It's Welcome to Wrestling. We will be back next week. Be on the lookout for interviews coming up. Be on the lookout for Married to Football Legends. And be on the lookout for us, man, because we banging them out. It's Welcome to Wrestling.
Welcome to Wrasslin.
Welcome to Wrestling, brother.
Welcome to Wrasslin, Chatty Bobby. Welcome to Wrasslin with Big E and the P.O.T. Podcast tag champs of the whole world, slamming like a DDT. Got it like just like a figure four. Hulk Hogan, all they do is flex. Talking wrestling while they get the dough. Off the top like a superplex. Think they letting up? Hell no. Dusty Rose with the elbow. From the corner like a stinging splash straight to the face. I know you felt those. Hey, y'all crying out for help though. Rising up like the dead man. About to go upside your head like Stone Cold with the bedpan. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to wrestling's where you need to be. Chatty Bobby, this show improved like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to wrestling's where you need to be. Chatty Bobby, this show improved like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. See ya.